Hello and welcome back. You know, as a behavioral psychologist, I get asked my opinion on colors a lot. Clients will ask me, what's the best color to influence a certain behavior, for example? One client told me last week that they were a green personality. Apparently, you can determine personality by color using the DISC personality assessment tool. This is complete pseudoscience, but maybe I'll do a completely separate video on that particular subject. Now, the psychology of color, or color psychology, refers to how color affects human behavior. It aims to determine how colors impact our day-to-day decisions, such as the mood that we're in or the items that we buy. The central idea is that colors aren't a strictly visual element, but rather are psychological and able to trigger a variety of emotions and feelings in the human mind. Now, bear in mind that a lot of this is anecdotal. Whilst it's hugely popular and indeed I suppose a relevant subject in marketing and sales, there hasn't been a huge amount of scientific research done on it. So from a purely scientific standpoint, as it stands right now, color psychology is about as accurate as a tarot card reading. So, having said all of that, does the color of a dress, for example, influence whether we purchase it or not? Do the colors of a package make us choose one brand over another? Does the color of an icon on a website make us more likely to click on it? In other words, do colors affect our tastes, perceptions, and buying patterns? Is color psychology real? Well, the answer to that is yes and no. If it is real, how do colors affect your luxury brand? And especially the way that brand is perceived by the public. One of the most famous examples in this regard is the color red as used by the Coca-Cola brand. Red is said to portray power, excitement, energy, passion. Coke's white script on a red label or can has become so popular that around 95% of the world's population recognize the color combination, and so therefore associated with Coca-Cola. In fact, this color combination is so recognizable that apparently it's able to trigger specific emotions and desires in its global audience, like excitement and thirst. But you have to ask yourself, is it down to the color? Or is it instead a past memory that has triggered the reward centers of the brain, making you anticipate the feel-good factor of drinking a sugary drink like Coke? Would someone who has never tasted Coke have the same response based solely on the colors alone? I mean, that's probably unlikely, don't you think? So it's an association with pleasure rather than the color combination itself. Now, emotions, of course, play a vital role in creating the right image of any luxury product. And by emotions, I mean the perceptions or feelings that arise when you talk about a certain brand. Some brands are meant to evoke excitement, while others are meant to evoke sympathy. The color scheme you use to promote your brand can also play a role in evoking just the right emotions and reactions amongst your target audience. This is a given. Research has shown, though, that about 84% of shoppers look at a product's color scheme and it's a decisive factor that draws them to that particular product. But is that because they associate that color with something pleasant? Or is it the color on its own by itself? For example, we associate green packaging with fresh and healthy produce. If your vegetables came packed in black packaging, would you buy them? Probably not, because in that context, you would associate black with rotten or decaying produce, because you're used to green packaging equaling fresh and healthy. But it's not the color green. It's the association with freshness that you have begun to associate with that particular color packaging. So, for example, if you saw meat that was green, you wouldn't associate that with being fresh. By the same token, Black and white is considered a luxury combination. You've got black tie, black cocktail dresses, the colors, the branding colors of Chanel, Dior, Prada. Now, is that black and white? Is that because black and white are really luxury colors? Or are we just associating those colors with past experience of luxury brands defaulting to a black and white color scheme? What if all luxury brands instead used bright yellow and blue instead? Would bright yellow and blue now be considered luxury? Who knows? A lot of psychologists agree that color psychology has merit, or at least some merit, myself included, especially in marketing. Different colors have different associations to the human mind. The colors we notice certainly impact our emotions as well as our state of mind, but then so does sound. Warm colors such as red, yellow, and orange are generally accepted to convey the feelings of comfort and enthusiasm. Red in particular is often associated not only with energy and passion, but also with boldness and youthfulness. Yellow is sometimes associated with clarity and warmth, and orange is associated with excitement and vitality. But that's also cultural, because you see, the color red in China is associated with look and auspiciousness, rather than passion as it would be in the West. The color yellow is associated with royalty in the Far East, whereas purple is more associated with royalty in the West. So are we reacting to the colors themselves, or are we reacting to cultural norms? Cooler colors such as blue and purple are said to spark both calmness and serenity. Blue, for example, is associated with trust and strength, which is perhaps the reason that blue is the most commonly used color in brand logos, maybe. Purple, on the other hand, is said to encourage creativity. Purple is also an ideal color for use in luxury marketing because it is generally associated with elegance and sophistication. And there is some evidence, not much, but some, that suggest colors not only affect human, but even animal behavior. This is because we conceptualize even abstract emotions in concrete ways, including associating an emotion with a color. For example, if you were in a bad relationship and that person always wore red, you might then begin to associate red with fear and anger rather than passion or warmth. Colors impact us because certain colors trigger certain areas of the brain, which then generate specific emotions. But it's different for different people. For example, we refer to being angry as seeing red, not because red is an angry color in and of itself, but because we have learned to associate red with anger. It's also why we associate positive emotions and experience with light and bright colors, while black is most often associated with death, mortality, and fear. However, in Asia, white is associated with death, but in the West, white is associated with purity and virginity. So which is it? Is white death, or is it virginity? Well, I suppose that depends on where you are and what you associate with that color, both personally and culturally. If you arrive in someone's house in China in a white suit, you'll be asked who died. Arrive at someone's house in the same suit in the UK, and you'll be complimented on looking, smart and summery. In short, colors can influence consumer behavior, there's no doubt there. But it's an influence based on association rather than based on the color itself. Colors can create certain moods and drastically influence people's decisions based on what they associate with that behavior. That's true. The use of color, I suppose, in any luxury marketing strategy, of course, needs to be fine-tuned according to your specific needs, but when you are marketing your brand, it is important that you are knowledgeable enough to effectively utilize the associative effects of colors, certainly. And of course, you need to know enough so that you don't use colors that could be misinterpreted and have the total opposite effect of the one that you wanted. So, is color psychology real? I mean, that probably depends on who you speak to. Many people believe psychics are real and tarot cards can tell the future. So, who knows? I'll see you in the next video.